How's everyone doing? I'm Dusty. I got Chris with us. What up, Chris?
What's up? What's up?
How's it going? Tony couldn't join us today. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. We missed Tony, but he'll be back. We're going to do a show Thursday, and we'll have one of our Army buddies, Aaron McKenzie, on, and his dad Pat. Super good people. You guys might recognize them. They're always in Lot 1. That's where they tailgate, season ticket holders, super good people, lifetime Bengals fans. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun having them on there and chit chatting. How you doing today, Chris?
Oh, I'm just living a dream, Not a whole lot, just getting ready, closing out the night, getting ready to go to bed, go to work in the morning.
Yeah.
Same old stuff, same old life, nothing new here. What about you?
Routines are fun, man. I got a couple hours of sleep after working last night. Went and woke up, hung out with the family for a little bit, got a nice little workout in, and then neighbor called and he was digging some post holes, went and hung out with him for a hot minute and came back up and ready to rock and roll. Have you seen the news on the hip drop tackle?
I have. It's confusing to me. I mean, I understand you want to take injuries out of the game, but it's football. You can't. So if you're going to take away, basically shoulders and above, and now you're going to take away basically the knees and below, it really, creates a really, really tight strike zone for defenders. I think if they do something like this, we're going to see either a lot more missed tackles or we're going to see a lot more, third and 6, the defenders trying to do anything they can to get the guy down, and then they make the stop. Oh no, here comes a flag, first down, extend the drive, that kind of stuff. I think if they follow through with it, then it'll get sour quick, but I have a feeling that there's enough former NFL defensive players that have already come out and said, what do you expect them to do, basically? So we'll see how it goes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's I don't like leaving things up to the perception of the referees, because one angle can look way worse than another angle, right? Like, you know how it, like, if you're looking at something straight on, might not look as bad. You're looking at it from the side or the back, it can look different. In I don't know. It's all up to just the way you perceive that tackle. So I read something on Twitter a little bit ago, which was it was interesting, because you always see Logan Wilson's picture on that tackle in the Marquee Injuries reference. And the NFL said that is not an illegal tackle, but yet they're using Logan Wilson as an example. I feel like that's strange. How are you going to use him in the pictures, but not him, but say it's not illegal? So what is illegal? What is not? It's all up to the perception of the referees. I don't like that. It's making the game a lot more difficult for defensive players to actually play. It's a combat sport. You are, these dudes are, they're warriors. They're modern day warriors. They're going out and hitting each other and lighting each other up. And I agree, the safety is utmost importance after Giovanni Bernard's injury in that playoff game, which probably cost us the playoff game, because Jeremy Hill fumbles the ball. Gio was very reliable. He was smart. He had a year or two under his belt, a little more veteran style guy. So that could have been the difference in us getting a playoff win in 2015, and not the rule changed. Ryan Shazier, kind of, that tackle became a no-no, but you could obviously see that play and just like, man, how is that a legal hit? Like, the dude just got speared in the head. Like, it was not a good look at all, but that is what it is. I am not a fan of talking about that, because I'll rage for an hour about that game. But yeah, I'm all for player safety, but you have to be for defensive player safety as well. Like,
yeah, one of the things that gets me going about this whole, like, the NFL and the NBA and the MLB, they're all about, like, well, the letter, the way that the rule is written, and like
Right.
you're gonna have guys that are reading into like placement of adjectives and statements in the rules and play or adverbs and all this kind of stuff, and they're saying, well, based on this portion of the sentence and blah blah blah. The way that hockey does it in the NHL, it's like they basically have 4 or 5 calls. It's like interference, cross-checking, roughing, tripping. So you have like a handful of things, and the refs are like, okay, I see that is a foul. I know that that's a foul. So I think that like that might be too loose for football, but there's a certain level of subjectivity that you just have to give the refs to say, like, if you see a foul, don't worry about like, well, the letter of the law, the way that the rule is written says that it's forcible contact and unnecessary, So I think that we mostly as fans can see like a tackle is a good tackle is a good tackle, and a penalty is a penalty. And I
Right.
think that there's just some level of that needs to be introduced back into it, where if you're really going to trust the refs to call the game, then don't make it more difficult for them to officiate a foul that is a foul.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, man. It's because everyone's human. Even if you're not trying to make something, I don't know, like there's betting and all this stuff. There's money, and so there's questions of how honest are these refs being? Like, what's the integrity of the game? In which I like to think that there is integrity out there, but you see some players and some teams get certain calls, and some certain players do not get those calls. And it's obvious. It is pretty obvious. So it makes you question certain things. Um, but yeah, adding more rules on a tackle that really is a very questionable kind of tackle. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I think it puts defensive players in a risky position where Logan Wilson is not a dirty player. I've never seen the guy do anything dirty. I've never seen him really any after the whistle issues. Like I cannot think of a single time after the whistle he's been in a brawl or a little scuffle or anything dirty. He's a guy that plays the game the right way. So when you see him kind of be in the face of this, it really it irritates me and pisses me off a little bit, because everything you see of the guy, he plays the game, and he's a linebacker. He's supposed to be one of the most physical guys on the field, and now you're making him out to be something he's not. And I don't appreciate it, and especially the way the Bengals get labeled. And for years now, we have been a really good team and not a dirty team. I don't know. I don't like it. And then for the NFL to come out and say, "Oh, this would not be a hip drop tackle," but yet he's the face of it. It makes no sense to me, and not a fan, man. Not a fan. So we are planning on doing a mock draft. So Chris, you want us to get into that, or do you have anything else? Because I mean, this whole thing's kind of frustrating to me.
Yeah, I think
But
it's just annoying, and it's going to be annoying until they come out and they say we're going to do this or we're not going to do this, and then it's going to be annoying. Either if they do it, it's going to be annoying to deal with it. If they don't do it, it's going to be annoying to hear all the people complain about it. So whatever happens, it's going to happen, and until that point, I'm just kind of waiting.
right, yeah, same here, man. Same here. So we'll see how it affects us and affects the league. Hopefully, it's not game changing. Hopefully, it's nothing that it's going to be game changing, but hopefully, it doesn't affect a playoff game or a Super Bowl game for us, or really for anybody. I don't want to see. I want to see the better team win games. I don't want to see a lesser team, or a team. Maybe you're not even a lesser team. Maybe you're just a team that outplayed somebody that day. I don't want to see them lose a game because some crappy call. And we can leave it at that. Mon says Who Day. What's up, Mon? Thanks for joining us. We got some listeners in here. I want to say, I know Chris and myself and Tony, we all appreciate everyone tuning in. It's a later night for most of us, so I know I work night shifts, so I'm starting to come alive right now. I'm starting to wake up. But for most of you guys, it's probably a little late. So we appreciate all you guys listening to us. We truly do, and we're going to do a mock draft. So leave some players you guys would like in there. If when you see the mock draft come up, just let us know what person you might take in that round, and we might discuss that person a little bit. If we breeze past it, we apologize, but definitely leave us some comments. We love interacting with everybody. That's kind of our big thing about doing this is just meeting more Bengals fans. So we'll let me pull this up real quick. There we go. I'm gonna take my face off the screen because that's a little awkward when I go to this page. All right, but I'm still here. All right, so you want to do just 5 rounds to start because we got 10 picks. We can just do 5. Does that sound good for you? Can you hear me? Whoops. Could you hear anything I said, Chris?
Yeah, I forgot to unmute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
Yeah,
Maybe,
I'm good with I'm good with 5 rounds. I think anything after 4 or 5, anyways, it's all just a crapshoot. And these simulators are going to do their best, but people are going to be jumping up and down the last few rounds. So let's get it started.
I agree. All right, we're going to hit start here. I got it on fast, so these guys are going to fly off the board. So we got Brock Bowers. We know you like Brock. We know there's some people. Your dad likes Brock. There's a lot of people that like Brock Bowers. Jared Verse, J.C. Latham, Cooper, Fawatu, and Mims, Jackson Powers Johnson. And we got Johnny Newton down a little lower. Can you see this pretty good?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'd say that there's a lot of guys. Obviously, it's the first round. There's going to be a lot of guys that are attractive for the team to take. A lot of players that are skilled that we think could make a difference. A couple of the guys that I'm really kind of intrigued by are obviously Brock Bowers. I'm a big, Brock Bowers guy. I remember what Tyler Eifert did coming out of Notre Dame. Nobody expected us to pick him that year. And his next few years, the guy was just a touchdown machine. Unfortunately, got took by some injuries. But, like Mon says there, we got J.C. Latham, Troy Fatanu and Amarius Mims, a couple of solid tackles. I think Latham probably is, on the board, he's the highest guy. So if we want to go tackle, that would be a good spot to go. And then Cooper DeJean, I think he's going to be interesting. Like
his
when
kick
draft day
return ability.
Say that again.
His kick return ability is
yep.
would be very interesting. Just
100%.
That explosiveness right there. I think there's maybe a couple corners that we might be interested in. I don't think he would be one at this point. I think if Arnold was there, if the kid from Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell was there, those two would be more in discussion. But
yeah,
I like Latham, and I think he's kind of the Bengals style dude. I listened to Dave Lapham talk to Mike or talk to Pollock. So Pollock kind of talked about him a little bit. Seemed like he might be a little high on him. They also talked. Dave Lapham talked about JPJ and was pretty high on him the way he was interacting. So Dave normally is pretty solid with what the Bengals are thinking, and Pollock did not give up, a whole lot of information there. So it's hard to tell what they're thinking, but I really think Jackson Powers Johnson would be I just think he'd be an interesting pick. I think he's a guy that can start now at guard, and then we can figure out Karras's deal later. But also I think Latham probably over Fatanu, just because everyone's kind of got him projected as a guard / tackle. So he's got some versatility. He could be interesting. Mims is just a guy that scares me. I know a lot of people like him, but starting 8 games, his injuries, like different things about him. He could be the steal of the draft. He could fall and somebody could get an absolute steal with this guy. But I don't really want to risk that. And I think Latham is kind of the dude. Mon says can't go wrong with JPJ. Yeah, I really like JPJ. Brock Bowers would be interesting. It'd be solid. It'd be nice to have Brock Bowers, but I just don't feel like we have. I don't feel like this is the year to take that. I think we need to get Joe Burrow protection. We need to get that protection in the future. Jared Verse is a guy that I really like. I like Verse. I'm surprised Mon hasn't said anything about Verse because just being a Florida dude. But yeah, Verse is a guy, if they feel comfortable and they want to bolster that pass rush a little more, he's a dude. But back-to-back years at D end, that I don't see that happening. I think if I'm the Bengals, if we're doing this from a Bengals perspective, I think it's JC Latham.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I think it's obvious to everybody around the league, everybody in our fan base, everybody in the media, whoever you want to say. It's obvious that we need a tackle. So I'm on board with that pick.
So I'm not going to look at any of the trades. There's a guy named Edrin Cooper. This guy had, I think, 8 sacks last year. He's a linebacker. The Bengals aren't going to take linebacker that high. But Edrin Cooper has been my guy for a while. That would just be he if we had the luxury of taking him and we didn't have our 2 linebackers signed for longer deals, yeah, he would definitely be a dude that I would like. We got Sanders, tight end out of Texas, that a lot of people mock him to us. And I like Sanders. I do, but I feel like with Mike Gesicki at this point, we don't have to take it this high. Chris Jenkins, Cooper Beebe, Patrick Paul. We already took a tackle, so Patrick Paul isn't exactly a guy, but right now I'm more on still trenches. There is a cornerback I really like, and I'm assuming he probably was taken. It's TJ Tampa, who's a guy when I watched film on him earlier, he was a guy that I've liked kind of in my start of this off season, and he's still there. I really like TJ Tampa. And then we look at wide receivers. Malachi Corley, I really like him.
When did Ladd McConkey go?
So let's see. I don't know if I can go back on this. Yeah, there's like no way for me to go back on this. I can on the app, but on this screen, I can't do it. Yeah, Ladd McConkey.
If McConkey is there in round 2, which I personally don't think he'll be there, at least when the Bengals pick, I think he might even creep up into the back end of the first round. If he's there in round 2, I think he would be an awesome pick because I just saw on NFL Network today, I think it was like on Good Morning Football, they were showing his measurables up against Garrett Wilson's, and it was almost identical. And I know that the measurables and the speed and the agility, broad jump, I think was one of them. Not always an exact science when it comes to picking guys, to picking real dogs. But I think that with the way that he runs routes and Joe Burrow's ability to play with anticipation and to be accurate, I think Ladd McConkey, opposite of Jamar Chase, could be deadly, especially moving those guys around. Either one of them can play inside, either one of them can play outside. And then, for at least this year, if we still have T. Higgins, that trio could be deadly.
Yeah, Dustin Croft asked if we decide to go a different direction with the defensive scheme, what kind of defense would you like them to play, and what picks would fit their scheme. So I think in our secondary, we got options to where we could do more, just play more three safeties. So having three safeties on the field, especially with the versatility and the athletic ability of Dax Hill and Tyson Anderson. Now we'll have to see how Tyson Anderson comes back and what his health looks like. But I think we'll probably see something similar. I don't think they're going to change their defense around too much. I think it's going to be more. We don't have a nose tackle, so I think it might depend a little bit if how they feel about Sweat, but it. I don't think they're going to move to like a 3-4 or nothing like that. What do you think, Chris?
I'd like to see them, which I think that they already do a little bit of this, is sort of like a 4-3 or like a 3-4
With like a spy or
defense
something?
with the weak side outside linebacker kind of being like an edge linebacker hybrid kind of guy. Like
Yeah, they call it like a badger
yeah,
rule.
but somebody who really thrives getting after the passer, but can also play more of a
That's
traditional linebacker role
that's
depending on
Edgerrin Cooper, dude. Look up
yeah.
Edgerrin Cooper. That if you haven't seen this dude, he might thrive in a role like that. He's a dog. But
Well, that could work with Lou because Lou, mad scientist Lou, he loves the versatility guys. So people he can move inside, outside, do different stuff with. So I think that the trenches are, the defensive line is still a good place to always continue to load up. So I'm cool with Edgerrin Cooper if that's what you're thinking.
so I'm right now. I'm thinking Chris Jenkins. A lot of people have him high. He's just a dude that I just on tape I have not seen. You see flashes and you see potential, but he just doesn't stand out to me. And I could be wrong. Maybe I've watched the wrong games. Excuse me, but I like Rook a row. He's got some of these names, man. But I like Rook, but I like Michael Hall a lot. I would have no problem taking Michael Hall. At his pro day, he showed well. He did a lot of people said some good things about him. So I wouldn't have a problem with Michael Hall as another interior dude with good upside. I think he's young. I think he's only like 20 years old. So Michael Hall at this point might be my pick. If anybody in the chat, TJ Tampa's still there at corner, and I could see them taking a guy like TJ Tampa. I think he's about 6'1", in around 190s, a solid outside corner that I would have no problem taking Tampa, and I'd have no problem taking Hall.
Yeah, I'd definitely be on board taking a corner as well. I don't know that much about Tampa. I was telling Dusty before we started this, I haven't really dove into the prospects this year like I usually do. My wife just had her second kid, so I'm kind of, life's adjusting to the 2-kid life is taking a lot of extra time that I didn't think it would, but here we are. So, but I think that if the Bengals come out of the first 2 days of the draft with a cornerback, that will be a good thing for this team. So, defensive interior and cornerback are my two biggest needs, I would say, on defense. So yeah.
So I think we might be able to get like a Mason Smith might fall to us, or in the third round, in McKinley Jackson, Wingo. Like there's some people that might fall to us on the D line. I like Tampa, man. I've liked Tampa for a long time. I know a lot of people might not like that pick, but honestly, I think Tampa for us, he's kind of a hard hitter. I also like Cam Hart. He's a bigger dude. He could fall a little later. I think he's like 6'3". He's a big guy. So he could be there a little later. So it just kind of comes down to what we want. I think Michael Hall could be a steal, but I think Tampa at this point, we don't have a veteran. We haven't signed a veteran. I think there's a good chance we do sign a veteran in free agency still. We got some money to spend. There's some guys out there. But at this point, I would go with TJ Tampa. Does that sound good with you?
That'll work for
I was
me.
on the other screen. Okay. Let's do Tampa. And if anyone in the chat, you can cast your votes if I'm right, if I'm wrong, what you would go with. I'm sure a lot of people would want the pass rusher, but Tampa is a dude. I really don't see him falling that far to us. So let's go with Tampa. In which we got a B for that, which is fine.
Yeah, I'll take a B plus, and then we got an A plus for Latham. So that seems the simulator thinks that we're doing pretty good.
Oh, Malachi Corley. He's on the board. Malachi Corley, if he's there in the third, I'm 100% taking this guy. We can look at defensive line real quick. So I think these guys will be there at pick 80. Or 97, my bad. But we can look at interior O-line. I like Van Pran and Mahogany. Those are both some dudes that are pretty good on the interior O-line that I would not mind having. And they're probably, they might slide to the fourth. So Sanders is still there, which we need a tight end. If I don't know. Between Sanders and Corley, if you want a receiver that gets a lot of yak, that is, I think he ran a 4.5 is what he was recorded at his pro day, and the Bengals were there for his pro day. I think Corley would be solid, and then maybe with the second, third round pick, check out D-line.
He's an inside guy, receiver.
I think he's versatile. I think
Yeah.
he might be able to play some slot. I think he played mostly outside, but I think he probably play slot. And plus, you got Jamar, who, if you can move him to the slot and have this dude that's versatile on the outside, you have Andre, you have Charlie Jones, you have receivers, you have T.I. Yep, Chuck Sizzle. But I think Malachi Corley, he is a beast. I like him a lot.
I'm on board with that. It's never, the wide receiver room is never a bad thing to reload. So I think somebody said before that, like, if you come out of every single draft with a wide receiver, then that's a good thing. So I'm on board.
And I don't think Corley will be there, to be honest. I think he'll go in the second round. So if he's there, I am not having a problem. Jonathan Brooks.
That's a tough thing. That's a tough thing with these simulators, is trying to accurately predict who's going to be there and who's going to be gone. So.
Okay. So right now, the top of the board is Jonathan Brooks. We don't need a safety. A couple safeties up there. We already took our cornerback, so we don't need Chris Abrams-Drain.
This is around the time that I can realistically see the Bengals taking a running back or an interior offensive lineman. They usually like to stick with the second round running backs whenever they're due to replace a guy. But I think with the value of running back being like pushed down over the last few years, and more late round guys kind of popping off and becoming regulars in NFL offenses, I think that this is probably around the time that we'd usually see like a third round guy that gets pushed into the fourth round or something like that. I know that there's been a lot of chatter about the Bengals being at Notre Dame's pro day and watching Audric Estime. So that would be the perfect kind of type guy, big bruising runner with long speed. So that could be a solid pick here if he's still available. And then obviously Blake Corum would be pretty solid. So
yeah, I think for me, Jalen Wright, if you haven't seen this dude, Jalen Wright ran he was tracked on the GPS at 23 miles an hour. That is insanely fast. He's the guy I've liked Kind of when the season ended for the Bengals, I started watching people. Jalen Wright was a guy that I really liked, and Marshawn Lloyd. Both those dudes, I think they're similar in stature. They might have like a 5 pound difference in weight. Um, but I could be wrong. But if you're looking for a bruiser, someone's a little different. I don't know. I feel like Wright fits our scheme well in Marshawn Lloyd, which Marshawn Lloyd, there's in this mock simulator, he is going to be more than likely he will be available, and Estime will be available as well in the following round if you want to look at interior O line. And I think Mahogany is on the board, which he is. He's the top rated. If we wanted to look at, because we haven't took anybody on the D line, have we? Where's my picks at? No, so we haven't took anybody on the D line. And there's nobody that I think's worthy right now. The kid from Alabama, I do like him. I've watched him. Gabe Hall had a decent showing, so those two might be something. This isn't ideal exactly. Rosengarten's still there. Rosengarten, a lot of people have kind of projected to go a lot higher than where we're at right now at tackle. Jonah Ellis, he's a solid dude. Let's go back to all. Let's see who's on the board. So if we wanted to go running back, I feel like Jonathan Brooks would be pretty wild for us. If we wanted to wait around, I think Estime will probably be there, and some of the dudes I mentioned would probably be there. If we want to do interior O line and build that trench, which I'm completely a fan of, we've also will be going 3 out of 4 picks on offense. So I don't know how realistic that is.
I mean,
but Christian
I'm not opposed to using the majority of the picks on offense and the majority of picks on defense. I think what you really have to do is try to take the best guy. Everybody says it, oh, best player available. But when it comes down to it, when it's your pick, if you have, an offensive guy that's rated higher every single time, then it's, in my opinion, it's okay for you to come out of that draft with all offensive players or, vice versa. So I'm on board taking the interior offensive lineman. That's typically a Bengals thing to do, is take the mid-round interior guy. So, yeah.
And like we discussed earlier too, with this becoming even more an offensive ran league, I think maybe the interior O line would be it. In which I like this pick. I like Christian Mahogany, so we'll add him. Let's maybe check out if there's anybody on the D line we like. At this point, there's still nobody I exactly like for the interior. I like Kamara. He's rated 129, but I don't know. I don't know if I'd want him right there. Gabriel Murphy, he's solid. I just feel like there's probably better players available at this point. So we could look at tight end, or we could look at running back. Let's see if my dude's there at running back. So Marshawn Lloyd's there. Your guy from Notre Dame, Estime's there. I feel like Marshawn Lloyd could fit what the Bengals are doing with this committee, but you could get a guy like Estime that's maybe a little more goal line-ish style cat.
Yeah, big boy. I'd also be okay. As far as tight ends goes, I'd be okay with taking Cade Stover here from Ohio State. He's a guy that, being here in Columbus, like watching the Ohio State. I'm a Notre Dame fan first, but I always support Ohio State because they rarely play each other up until the last couple years. So I'd be on board with taking Cade Stover. He's a guy that he's not exceptional at anything, but he seems to be really consistent and does everything like decently well. I'd say for a 5th round guy, like you could definitely do worse.
Yeah, with Cade Stover on the board in the 5th round, I do not have a problem with that pick. We can go with Cade Stover in check maybe D-line once again. We are killing. We are going heavy on offense, dude. Let's go.
I also, at this point, I just don't really know that many defensive prospects. So getting this late into it, it's like I'm
There's
drawn
no
to the
way
guys that I know. So
if Rosengarten's still available at this point, he's a guy you have to take. I know we already took a tackle and we've loaded up on offense, but man, that would be an absolute steal. I just don't see that even being a thing. I really don't. So running back was something we've been kind of eyeballing. Whoops. Where's running back? There we go. So we got Ray Davis. I like Ray Davis. Dylan Johnson from Washington and Isaac Granado from Louisville. He really showed well. The Louisville kid. A lot of people like him. He's definitely further down on the board. I wouldn't compare him to Ray Davis. I think Ray Davis is a good bit ahead of him, in which the mock's kind of agreeing. Let's look. If we wanted to bolster the defensive line a little, we got Gabriel Murphy still there, which I think this is probably about the area he's going to go, probably around 5, maybe 6-ish. Kamara, he's fell down a little bit, but I do like him. Abogwe from Alabama, he's pretty solid as well. He's there. So if we wanted to go with a D lineman, Rosengarten I think is going to be gone. I think Luke McCaffrey is going to be gone. I feel like one of these D linemen could be something they look at, even though they're more edge and they're not interior. But you can never have enough corners, and you can never have enough. You can never have enough corners. So I'm cool with going with Alabama kid.
sounds good. I'm good with that. All these A pluses,
Okay.
it makes you realize, like, yeah, some of these guys definitely aren't going to be there when we had a chance to pick them. So,
yeah, I don't think Tampa. I think he might go a little higher than where we're at. I think Latham. There's a good chance Latham's going to be there. Like I said, Tampa. He's probably going to go higher. If he's there, I don't have a problem taking him. Malachi Corley. I feel like he's going to go higher. And Mahogany's kind of sitting about where I think, probably rounds 3 and 4. Cade Stover in the 5th round is, I think that's good value for Cade Stover. And then, how do you say his name? Abuike. I always mess his name up. But the defensive lineman from Alabama, he's solid. If you watch a little film on him, he's kind of a fun dude. And yeah, I think this is a good draft. Maybe would have liked to get another D lineman in there a little early and maybe not take the Corley pick. I forget who was on the board, or Tampa, but I feel like Tampa is a good pick at that point. I really like Tampa, so I have no problem with him. But yeah, maybe Corley, but I don't think Corley's going to be there. I think if he's there, he's going to be a solid pick in the 3rd. But there could have been a defensive lineman that would have been fun to take. Overall, that was fun. We'll do some more and maybe make it a little more defensive friendly. But I just feel like the way the board fell in this mock, there was good talent available to us on the offensive side. So went a little heavy, but the way the rules are changing and the way it's becoming more and more of an uh, offensive sided league, you can't go wrong with getting offensive players, I guess, right?
Yep, 100%. And
But you
also,
could
like
also,
you said, with the time coming up, like things are going to change. The board's going to be different the next time we do the draft. So, maybe the next time it just so happens that we fall into 5 defensive players and we go from there. But it was a fun one. It was a good for me. This was the first mock draft of the year, so it'll be fun to do. Another dozen of them leading up to the draft time, and it's been
yeah,
a fun night.
yeah, it's fun doing them, man. We'll definitely do more. Keep getting more familiar with them. Mock drafts, you can never go wrong. Just messing around and checking out different players. But I think we're probably going to close it out. You got any closing thoughts, Chris?
Nope, I'm good. Who day?
Who day? We'll see you, Chris. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. We got some listeners. Thanks for everyone that left some comments and interacted with us. We really appreciate it. It makes it a lot more fun. Like we said, Thursday we'll have another show. We'll have a couple guys, season ticket holders that I always hang out with in lot one. So look forward to having them guys on there talking, maybe talk some Ring of Honor stuff. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to Thursday's show. And like Chris said, who day?